Hey guys, it's nice to be back. I know, you guys have all been wondering where I've been for the last 2 years. Well, within the last 2 years since my last review, I have graduated high school, started college, got a job, started seeing people, and I got a cat. So, it's been pretty hectic. And I've been in a reading slump. I have not read a book literally since the last time I did a review. So, it's been not that great. But I finally was able to sit down, grab a book off a shelf. Granted, I was in a library and needed to pass the time. But I was able to finally read a book, finish it after 2 long years of not posting or reading anything. The book today that I'm going to be talking about is Asylum by Madeleine Roux, or Madeleine Roux, if you want to be French about it. It's that new, quote-unquote new book, it's a couple years old now, that everybody was like in love with. But I read it yesterday, and well, I didn't put up a review yesterday considering that I did not have any room on my phone, nor did I have my iPad to record, so here it goes now. I rate the book an 8 out of 10. It was great. Not perfect. I had some discrepancies about it. Not too great. I mean, it was great, just not phenomenal. Kind of almost seemed like a Dan Pawlowski book, but I liked it better than that, so it's not getting a 7.5. And this, again, as always, will be a spoiler-free review. I'll delve a little deep into it, pull back on some parts, you know, just how I normally do it. Oh, yeah, I also got a tattoo in the last 2 years as well. But, not minding that, here's the synopsis. For 16-year-old Dan Crawford, New Hampshire college prep is more than a summer program. It's a lifeline. An outcast at his high school, Dan is excited to finally make some friends in his last summer before college. But when he arrives at the program, Dan learns that his dorm for the summer used to be a sanatorium, more commonly known as an asylum. And not just any asylum, a last resort for the criminally insane. As Dan and his new friends Abby and Jordan explore the hidden recesses of their creepy summer home, they soon discover it's no coincidence that the three of them ended up here. Because the asylum holds the key to a terrifying past, and there are some secrets that refuse to stay buried. Featuring found photos of unsettling history and real abandoned asylums, and filled with chilling mystery and page-turning suspense, Madeleine Roux' teen debut, Asylum, is a horror story that treads the line between genius and insanity. It was a good book. Didn't like it too much. The story was kind of bland. Didn't really delve too much into why it connected the three of them. It connected 2 of the main characters, Abby and Dan, obviously. Jordan, not too much, other than the fact that he was gay and it was an asylum where they would, way back in the olden days, they would try to use electrotherapy to zap the gay away. Just some stupid stuff from way back when. But other than that, there was no real connection between him and the asylum. So I don't understand why that was stated. But our story starts out with Dan. He's, I think, a junior going on to senior year. He's going to the summer program because in his high school has a bunch of idiots who don't do their homework, who he can't really talk to about, you know, academic things, smart things. So he goes to a smart camp, basically. A smart summer camp for other people like him who want to further their studies. So he goes for history and psychology, while Abby goes for art and Jordan goes for math. He meets Abby and Jordan on campus. While it seemed like Abby and Jordan had already known each other, they had just met on the bus. So the three of them stuck like glue, and they got the nickname from one of the professors and their nickname was Hydra. Just like the dragon from Greek mythology, that if you cut off its head, 2 more would sprout out. But enough about that. It delves a little bit more about the backstory of each character. Not too much Jordan. I think he got the short end of the stick at this one. But it is a series, so it might hopefully delve more into what Jordan's connection to the Asylum is. But it doesn't really. For Dan, you don't get to find that out until like the later half of the book, so I'm not going to really spoil that. But he does have a connection to the sanatorium of which they are staying in. And the reason why they're staying in the asylum section of the school is because they're doing renovations or something for the school year. So they've been moved over from their original dorm to live in the sanatorium. Abby, her connection is familial. She found out some family things and kind of chose to go to New Hampshire College Prep, which they call in the book NHCP, to stay hip and cool and trendy. I don't know. But while those two had connections, Jordan really didn't. Then it kind of, the story was a little bland. It kind of just like showed, hey, this place is a sanatorium. Hey, these kids are exploring some forbidden area of the building that they're not supposed to, as you know, kids do. And they find out some things going on that used to happen in the asylum, which actually was pretty much common knowledge. A lot of asylums back then used to do inhumane like things like electrotherapy, lobotomies, and other stuff to try and get the crazy out of the person so that they wouldn't be insane anymore and they would become geniuses and be able to be released into normal society. So, but this asylum particularly only had criminals, murderers, serial killers, and the like. But, let's see. They acted really shocked at the happenings that happened there, and considering how things are nowadays, and I know schools don't really teach it, but if you just look on the internet or anything, if you read any other books in this kind of genre about asylums, you'll find out that they, yes, did these kind of things. So the kids in the book being completely and utterly horrified and shocked by the things that have happened in those asylums was kind of disappointing, unrealistic, because there's no way they would have gone to a school without looking into the history of it first. Because why would you go to someplace without looking into the history of it a little bit, and then, what do you know, hey, this asylum is a giant historical site of this town that we're going to. Why would you not delve into it more? You're a teenager who's fascinated with, like, new things. So there's no way they didn't have researched the asylum beforehand. So that was a little, I don't know the word. I have the word on the tip of my tongue, but I can't seem to think about it right now. I can't seem to speak it. But it was just disappointing. It was a little unrealistic. Like, I don't even know. But the good points were that it used actual photos. Descriptions of the asylum were very nice. It puts you in the setting of it. Oh, another discrepancy. Another thing I didn't really like about the book is that they, quote unquote, describe something. Something is indirectly said to happen, and it's never actually stated if it did happen or not. So it's kind of leave you feeling like what the heck actually happened. Because seeing the cover, you would think it's a ghost story, which it kind of is. There's a little like haunting going on in the school, and some weird ghost possession going on. But they never explicitly say that someone's being possessed. It never explicitly says what actually happened to the characters who were possessed, or if they were possessed at all. And it kind of just leaves off in a really awful cliffhanger, because then it includes another character into the entire big picture plot that didn't really have too much to do with the plot at all throughout this entire book. So that was a little disheartening with that. It was a good book. I'm not knocking the book. It's a good read. It's just some things in the plot, there are a lot of holes. This one character in the book didn't show any much appearance at all. Turns out to be important, super freaking important, as alluded to the ending. Jordan didn't get much airtime with his background and everything, and how he's connected to the asylum. And it doesn't really state, like, what happened, really. Which leads into my third point. There's a lot of strange things that happen to Dan that are not explicitly explained of how stuff was done. Like, stuff in Jordan's room and everything. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. The picture in Jordan's room. How everybody's switches flipped, like, in the middle of the book, and it was just crazy. What else? Some other, like, random characters suddenly becoming an important plot point. Like, the roommate Yi, the roommate Felix, Joe, the security guard. I mean, I didn't really feel too bad about what happened to them, really, because they weren't too important to the plot. So it was just kind of the stuff that actually happened to them were kind of, like, there. Instead of focusing more on the mystery of the asylum itself, they tried to focus on a patient of the asylum and the fact that his ghost is still haunting the building and going around and murdering people because he was a serial killer in life. So, I would have rather liked to know more about the asylum itself, what was going on, their connections to it, instead of throwing a haphazard murder mystery into the book, which kind of, I don't know, disappointing. So, there goes my review. An 8 out of 10. Not as bad as the Dan Papaki books, which weren't bad, but not great. But I'm currently out of time. Hopefully I'll be able to read more books and put up more reviews in the coming weeks. It is summertime. I will be reading the second book. I do have it on my iPad as an ebook, so I will see about reading it. I don't know if I really want to, because considering the first book had such great reviews, and I was slightly disappointed of what I found. So take a look for that. Look out for that, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. But this hiatus is indefinite. I don't know when I'm actually going to regularly put out videos again. I'm not too sure. But hopefully I put one out really soon. I'll see you guys later. Bye.